Welcome. I'm going to be continuing my series on researching for a historical novel by talking about art and artifacts, as well as museum visits. These, while very important for all of my novels, were particularly important for my latest, Beyond the Ghetto Gates. This is because the artisans of Ancona, Italy, where the novel is set, were magnificent creators of ketubot, Jewish marriage certificates. And in addition, I discovered a miracle portrait of the Virgin Mary that played an important role in the plot line. So today we're going to be talking about museum visits, about art, and about artifacts. We go to the Metropolitan Museum a lot in my family. And whenever I'm there, I like to wander off and to stand wistfully at the velvet ropes in the magnificent rooms that they've set up. Other museums will let you wander through, but unfortunately, nobody lets me sit down. However, I can admire the details, the wainscoting, the clocks, the magnificent furniture of these rooms, and get a sense of the worlds, the rooms where my characters walked. So, portraits. Portraits are a fantastic resource to learn what the well-dressed gentleman of the time was wearing. And for me, it was particularly important to get a sense of these soldiers' uniforms, particularly here, Napoleon Bonaparte and what he wore. And so here I was delighted at the Quebec Museum of Art to stand next to a very famous portrait of Napoleon. But let's face it, when it comes to fashion, we really want to look at the women, the hats, the dress, the shoes, the hairstyle. And we want to get a sense of also the entertainment of the time, which we can get from portrait, and what family life might be like. Next up, we're going to talk about settings, both from portraits as well as landscapes. I go to both portraits and landscapes to get a sense of setting. And in portraits, we really can enter inside the rooms where my characters lived, where they interacted with one another. We can move outside their homes with a little bit of romance here. And because I was so particularly involved with soldiers' lives, I also looked for portraits that included battlefields, campsites, and more. Of course, landscapes play an important role as well of the places that I am writing about, so Ancona, Italy, and my brief visit to Venice at the time. I collect everything in a Pinterest board so I can go back and refer to it time and again, particularly when I'm writing that scene. Artifacts give you a wonderful tactile sense of the items from your character's world, the materials, such as Napoleon's tri-corner hat, this beautiful snuff box, and these wonderful ladies' slippers. Because I myself was very invested in soldiers' lives, items like these flintlocks became very important to me. And I was very surprised to receive this great gift, something I can actually touch and feel, of these genuine Napoleonic musket balls dug up from a dig in Akko in Israel. Next up, we're going to be talking a little bit more about items that were important to Beyond the Ghetto Gates. As I noted in my introduction to this video series, one of the important aspects of artwork were these ketubot. Ketuba is the singular. These are Jewish marriage certificates, and they were particularly important in Beyond the Ghetto Gates because at the time, Ancona, Italy was the world center of ketubah making. The artists there were the first to illuminate these magnificent documents. And so, of course, I collected as many examples as I could, and you can see them on my Pinterest boards. One of the amazing things was that as I was going around the world to places as far-flung as Edinburgh, Toronto, the New York Public Library, I would always recognize which ones came from Ancona because of their distinctive shape. This ogee arch at the top, curved arch with a peak at the top. In Beyond the Ghetto Gates, there is an amazing scene that takes place in the Cathedral of Ancona, which is located up on top of one of the mountains surrounding the harbor. And that was that this particular portrait of the Virgin Mary turned its head, looked on the congregants, and cried. There's actual documentation to support the miracle that happened. There's also this amazing anecdote that Napoleon Bonaparte himself was looting the cathedral, saw the portrait, and was somehow really freaked out by it. So there isn't a historical novelist alive that could have resisted that story. And so I am grateful for the fact that a real portrait played this significant role in the novel. As you can see, visiting museums, viewing artwork, seeing artifacts, all played a significant role in my research of Beyond the Ghetto Gates, as well as my other novels. And it's going to be very important in my forthcoming novel as well, where Napoleon Bonaparte takes this amazing trip to Egypt and to Israel. And I'm looking forward to really getting a sense of the art, the artifacts that will help support the novel that I'm writing now. How do you use art and artifacts and museum visits in writing the novels that you write? Please do add something into the comments section. I would love to hear from you.